interrupt your program to bring you this important podcast. How to 911.
Can you put me out of service on a podcast, please?
Hello. Welcome back. Hopefully you listened to the trailer. If you didn't listen to the trailer, then it's just hello.
Then it's just welcome.
Hi. This is the first episode. I'm Sammy.
I'm Erica.
And we're going to be your hosts. That's it. When I was writing out the scripts, yes, I scripted these episodes first, and then Erica was like, nope, you can't see me, I'm shaking my head. This is going to be really hard to navigate, so she made me make them into bullet points that are easier to follow. Hopefully, yes, indeed. If they're not, then we will update you with the newest form of organization we have to keep on track with these podcasts.
That is important.
It's extremely important because otherwise I go off on tangents and start talking about Jared Leto and people are just so confused.
Is this a Jared Leto podcast?
It is. Now it is.
No, it is.
Forget about 911. But also main reason that we have to have bullet points is that it's hard to narrow down 911 because if you listen to the trailer, it's a world of 911 and we have to put that somehow into single episodes throughout these weeks, and it's hard to stay focused, and it's hard to not think of like, okay, yeah, with that, and it's related to this, and then that, and peanut butter jelly sandwich, and eventually things will come together, but right now we're just going to start with peanut butter. No, we should probably start with the bread.
That sounds good.
The bread. How to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Right.
On a 911 podcast.
Podcast. First, buy the bread.
First, yes.
We are buying the bread right now.
Buying the bread. And here we go.
So, Sammy.
Uh-huh.
Let's say I called 911.
Okay.
Okay. Beep, boop, boop. Call 911. Now what?
Well, you call 911 and we will answer the phone.
Great.
And we answer the phone with one very important question. 911, what's the address of the emergency? Why do we ask that?
Why?
Because it's the most important question when it comes to 911. How are we supposed to help you if we don't know where you are?
Mm-hmm.
We'll figure it out eventually with hints and clues I'm sure that you'll give. And we'll get to that in a second.
Yep, talk about that. But
we also will ask for you to repeat the address because I'm listening to 600 things at once, especially in a dispatch center. We have radios going on. We have our partners talking to us. We have a phone in one ear. We have, I don't know, someone telling us there's cake in the break room in another ear, you know? So, God, that was an awful example.
Edit it out.
Edit that out.
We love cake, though.
We do love cake. I don't want you to think that cake is more important than 911. I don't love cake. If you get us a cake, it's for Erica.
Unless it's free. Tell Sammy it's free.
Free cake.
She's on it.
I'll eat a couple bites. We asked for you to repeat the address because with all the commotion going on and the cake that's being eaten, we can't always understand what you're saying. Phone connections are bad. There's a lot of traffic in the background. There's people screaming at you in the background. There's just a lot of things going on, and we just want to make sure that we got it right. Because you can't always bet that we got it right the first time because 5 sound like 6.
15, 16.
Yeah.
Sound the same. Or someone is very flustered.
Mm-hmm.
When you call 911, I've called maybe 3 times. I answer the phone and my heart is pounding. So you might transpose a number.
Right.
You might say 5142 instead of 1542.
Right.
So if we have you repeat it, you kind of check yourself. You will hopefully come back to the moment and realize what your address is.
Right, you're going to like go back and rethink about it instead of it just coming out of your mouth because you're like, I just need to spew something out right now. Something that's also helpful is like business names. If you don't know the address, like obviously we don't expect you to know the address of Walmart. But if there's more than one Walmart, expect us to ask you which Walmart. So if you're like the one off of Denver, perfect. I know exactly which Walmart you're at. I know where you are. I'm not going to ask for you to repeat that because Walmart's like a common name. Really hard to misunderstand. There's not a tall mart out there. So, I mean, I think we're good.
Welcome to Talmart. So, addresses are super important. What if you're at your friend's house and you know how to get there? You know exactly, you could drive there, eyes closed, turn for turn.
Don't do that with your eyes closed.
Please don't.
You're going to be like those girls on the 911 podcast.
They said I could. I know how to get there. So you're at your friend's house and they start choking. You have to call 911 and they ask, like you said, 911, what's the address of your emergency? And you go,
I don't know.
My friend's house?
Right.
How are we going to find out where you are?
We can ask you to, like, look for a piece of mail, or, like, if you, like, I GPS my friend's addresses the first few times that I go there, so, like, maybe if you have it in your phone, look it in there, or, you know, there's this great thing called, like, house numbers. So, I don't know if you know the street that you're on, but go outside and, like, look at the house if you can. If it's an apartment complex, know the name of the apartment complex. Know the apartment number. Again, that's, like, right outside the door, so that's hard to miss. Also, we can get your location by your phone. It's not super reliable. It doesn't always come in right away, so that's something that might take us 20 seconds to like a minute to get, depending on your phone service, depending on where you're at, because that also depends. Like if you're out in the mountains, probably not going to get a location of where you're at. You're lucky you got into 911.
Quite frankly. Something to keep in mind too. So you're at a friend's house, you don't know their address, mail, that's great. But if you're driving in a town that you don't know, let's say you moved from, I don't know, Wyoming to, I don't know, Colorado,
right? And
you're driving around and you see an accident, or you get into an accident, or someone falls and you have to go help them, maybe just pay attention to the street signs as you pass them.
Right.
Familiarize yourself. Know which direction you're going. Know that's a push. I don't know what direction I'm going. Edit this out. But just being aware of your surroundings.
Right. And I know with my job, not your job. With my job.
Only your job.
With this job, I've become a lot more aware of those things, especially like Erica said, I moved from Wyoming to Colorado, and
you did?
I did.
That was an example. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, you guys know something about me now. But you don't always pay attention to that stuff, especially if you're like looking at your GPS. Your GPS is telling you where to go. You're like one ear out the other, you know? So just keep an eye out. If you're at an intersection, you literally can look up at the street signs and be like, oh my gosh, I'm at Eisenhower in Denver.
Ta-da.
Whoa. Directions is super easy in Colorado because you can say towards Denver, away from Denver. Most people know the direction that Denver is at according to where they are at, or just some kind of city or a landmark that you know of, and we can try to figure that out with what you're giving us, towards the mountains, away from the mountains. That's the easiest one. And also something that people don't ever think about is like 100 blocks. Like it's easy to know in your neighborhood because you're like at 1203 and 1205 and 1207. But so that would be like the 1200 block of unnamed street. Perfect. But you know, trying to pay attention to that because it's kind of crazy how city grids work with addresses and stuff. You learn that it doesn't make sense. But also like landmarks. If you're near the cannon at the park, the Cannon Park.
Perfect.
That's not the name of the park, but we know what you're talking about because that's a landmark. Or believe it or not, during training, which I hated.
Oh.
So much.
I'm just now hearing about this.
No, you knew quite frankly well about it. Geography is not my thing. So when I moved from Wyoming to here, learning the geography of Loveland was really hard for me. But thankfully my trainers beat it into me. Non-forcefully. Don't call the cops on us. But, you know, we learn these major landmarks for a reason because we know that those are things that people are going to call out, like the cannon in the park, or they're at Centera. No longer getting to the point here. I'm just
landmarks.
Like just naming more things. I'm like, what are you doing? So yeah, landmarks. We'll try to figure it out with you. Be patient with us because we're not there with you. We're asking these questions because we want to understand to the best of our ability so we can get people right to you. You can say I'm on Eisenhower. Cool. You're on a highway that literally goes across a state. So I'm glad you know you're on Eisenhower. Thank you. Now we just have to figure out where on Eisenhower because, like I said, it goes across the state, it goes across Loveland, it goes super far into the world of 911. So looking for a cross streets or business on Eisenhower that you're close to will get us as close as possible. And like I said earlier, if you just have like that, if you're calling in on a cell phone, we can get a location off of that. It's just not very accurate. That's enough for us to at least get help started towards you until we can figure out a better location. We ask where you are because especially in is this rural or urban?
Suburban. I'd say. I think.
I don't know the differences between them.
I think rural would be like Weld. Like, we're on the border of it all. But urban would be...
Like Denver. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So in a more suburban area, we kind of get calls from all over the place that don't always involve what our agencies can assist with. We get calls from people in Johnstown, like 911, like routes to us because technology reasons, which we'll get into in another episode because that's just a whole other thing. We get phone calls from people in Fort Collins. I got a call last night from a guy in Timnath. So it's like we get calls from all over the place, and we're not going to be able to help you in Timnath. So I have to transfer you to the correct agency. And wouldn't it just be a huge waste of time if we didn't ask where you were first and you gave us this whole spiel about how someone's dying or someone's breaking into your house and you need help, and we finally ask where you are and we're like, oh, sorry, we're not going to help you. You're going to have to tell this whole story to somebody else, and hopefully that we didn't waste time getting there. So that's another reason why where is a very good question to start out with.
And if that's the only thing that we ever had, we could send everybody and get help that way.
Right.
So even if we didn't know it was a medical emergency or someone breaking in, you'd get everyone and you'd get help.
Right. Hopefully you'd be able to at least tell us the basics of what's going on. But if you cannot talk, we'll get into this in another episode because I've got other episodes based off of that. Give us an address and we can get somebody there. Bottom line. Also, I came from an agency in Wyoming where we didn't transfer any calls. So keep that in mind for more rural areas. That, you know, some agencies dispatch for a whole county versus us where we dispatch just for the city and some outside areas for our fire and EMS services. But it's just, it depends on agencies. Again, like in a populated state like Colorado, Denver area, I'm sure has tons of different dispatch centers that you can get transferred to because it's just so big.
Yeah.
But again, I don't work in Denver. I don't really know. Don't take my word for that. Call Denver non-emergent number to learn more about that. Next thing I want to talk to is if you have children, do not be afraid to teach them 911. It's like any type of safety with like kitchen knives they have in the house. You want to tell them they're not toys. You know, you want to tell them not to eat certain things, not to do certain things, because, you know, kids, they're kids. They're curious, they want to see what's going on, and if they're told do not call 911,
guess what?
What are they gonna do?
Where's mom's cell phone?
Right, they're gonna call 911. So telling them to not be afraid to call them in emergencies. And obviously if they're old enough to be able to do that and comprehend things such as an emergency, I mean, we're more than happy to talk to children on 911. You know, it's not gonna frustrate us, it's not gonna annoy us as long as it's an emergency situation. If they're calling us to prank us, not cool. But anyways, just have your children call 911. There's like recordings that I've listened to when we went to a training for a child calling for his father who was having an allergic reaction to a bee, and his son called, and his son was calm as ever, got help on the way, and they were on the side of the road. He didn't know where he was. Thankfully, because of the locations for phones and from what the child was telling them, they found him, and his dad is alive because of it. If that son didn't know to call 911, it might have been a different situation. So you never know when you're going to be in that circumstance where you're the helpless one and your child has to help you. Edit that out.
No.
No?
It's good.
Okay. Cool.
Nope.
So just, educate them with how to call and have them listen to this podcast. The holy grail of 911 calls for locations are landlines.
They are rare now because people like their cell phones.
Yes.
It is cheaper to not have a landline.
Right.
However, there are some people who still keep them for various reasons. Maybe you're a 911 dispatcher and you know that if something happens and you had to call 911 and all you could do is call and have an open line, that is from a landline. So maybe that's why you have one. I don't know. Maybe you're older, maybe you're younger with kids.
Yes.
They know, then they don't have to give their address.
Right.
Maybe you're older and that's just the way you've done things. All kinds of reasons.
There's a million different reasons. But landlines are literally the holy grail because we'll still answer the phone 911 once the address of the emergency, and with our computer systems, it'll populate the address that the landline is associated with into our call. And you tell us, and that's our verification, because sometimes if people call in on landlines or like business landlines, because that'll pop up too, you'll be like, gosh, I swear I know how to talk on the phone, people.
Just on the phone.
Just on the phone. Literally in person, don't ever speak to me. I'm just a jumbly mess. But if you're at a business or if you're at your house and you're like, oh, there's someone breaking into my neighbor's house across the street, or like there was a car accident, or I see somebody doing something suspicious 2 blocks down, like that's not going to help us with the address of where it's actually happening at. So that's also another reason why we will still ask for verification possibly, or ask for a better description of where, like what direction is it up the block from you. Do you know if there's a business? Do you know, can you see a street and a number on their house or whatever?
The one caveat, though, to landlines is VoIP phones.
Oh, yes.
And that's voice over internet protocols. So those come in to us looking like a landline, but if you have this internet phone, it's not truly a landline. So when they come into us, they look like landlines, but they're truly like a cell phone call. So you are responsible for updating your address with your internet provider for the phone. So if you move and you don't update your address and you call us and you say I'm at such and such address and it's showing your old address, we would send them there. So that's why we ask for the address twice, because it might snap you out of that and be like, oh wait, I just moved. But we can't rely on VoIP phones as well as we can on truly landlines because they're mobile. So something to keep in mind if you move and you have a voice over internet phone. Update your address.
Just get a landline. Moral of the story.
Get a landline.
Get a landline.
We'd all appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. So, Sammy.
Yeah.
I've called 911.
Mm-hmm.
You've asked me my address.
Cool. Did you give me the address?
Correctly.
Awesome.
Twice, because I was calling on a cell phone.
Oh my god.
Yes. So now what?
Now, I'm going to ask you, what's the phone number you're calling from?
Aha.
And it's a weird question, because you're as a caller, I'm probably like, why does it matter?
Mm-hmm.
But it does matter because of different scenarios. In case the phone line gets disconnected because of bad service for cell phones, we want to verify that phone number so we can call you back. Because sometimes, especially if you're in a poor service area, we don't always get caller ID. The caller ID is not always correct. I mean,
it's technology too.
Yes.
And when we get calls in on 911 from a cell phone, we get sometimes first the phone number that the tower belongs to. So it looks like 10 people are calling from a 720 number when it's really the tower, as our technology, which Sammy will talk about in a different episode, as it's transferring your cell phone number into our screen. So it's just that split second where it has to change, but sometimes it doesn't because technology doesn't work 100% of the time.
Right. And as much as we'd love for it to,
yes.
we all know, and we've all had problems with technology, so understand that much.
Yes.
Also, disconnected cell phones. I didn't put that in the script, but I just thought about it. You can call 911 on a disconnected cell phone. You ran out of minutes. You just don't use it anymore. Whatever reason it's disconnected, you can still call into 911. We're going to still ask you what the phone number you're calling from, and you're going to tell us the phone number that might be associated with that phone that you have actually that works. You might give us a completely different phone number, and it's not going to match what's on our screen. So we want to definitely get a callback number for you because we can't call back a disconnected cell phone. Also, if you want to follow up from a police officer or... Yep, I think that's the only reason why you need a follow-up. There's like, fireman's not going to call you back. Your house isn't on fire anymore. You're going to be there, hopefully.
They might call sometimes with smoke investigations.
Okay, you know what?
So, like, you're up in the mountains, and like, hey, I'm calling from here, and then they were like, well, can I call them and like get some more information, which direction they're facing.
Gotcha.
Rare instances.
But it could happen.
But it happens.
For medical reasons, we could try to give you a call back in case our EMS has further questions or if there's a code to the door if you're not able to get to the door. So we need that phone number or a phone number to reach you at for a reason. So if you're calling from a business, what's the phone number you're calling from? I don't know. I don't expect you to know Walmart's phone number. That's fine. So give me a phone number that's good for you. Basically, that's what that question's there for, is to kind of filter through. And also, usually on our non-emergent line, we don't always get caller ID. I'm guessing you guys block your numbers. I don't know why that doesn't work.
Or this, I feel like the city phone tree.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes, if you go through the phone tree, sometimes it kicks your number out. So we don't always get caller ID. We do a good chunk of the time, like I said, but not something we try to rely on because technology. Woo. Yeah, phone numbers. Super easy question.
Great.
Yeah.
That was easiest one, right?
That was literally the easiest one.
If you know your own cell phone number.
I don't call myself. I don't know my phone number.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Dig deep in your brain. Okay. Address, phone number. So I'm good, right?
No.
We're done? No, we're not done.
We're definitely not done.
Not done. Okay, what's next?
Next is we're going to ask. Is that a question?
Yeah.
Is it a question?
I think so. It's not a statement.
Okay. We're going to say, tell me exactly what happened.
No, you're right. Wait, is it a question?
Exactly.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened. The next thing that is going to be said is...
Okay, we're going to say, tell me exactly what happened. And that matters for a plethora of reasons that I somehow narrowed onto the last half of this page, so that's cool.
That's impressive.
So if you say there's been an accident. Okay.
Easy, right?
Cool.
You know exactly what my brain is thinking.
I know exactly what happened. I know exactly what kind of accident you're talking about. Nope. I don't know if it was a car accident. I don't know if somebody had an accident and fell. I don't know if somebody had an accident and lit something on fire. I don't know if your cat just knocked over the tree and the tree fell on your car. I don't know what happened.
Big cat.
It's a huge cat. Don't get cats. Just kidding.
They're precious.
Please go to the shelter and adopt a local shelter cat. This is not a plug-in for any type of animal shelter. Just be kind to your animal shelter animals.
There you go.
Anyways.
I love it.
So yeah, we need to know what kind of accident, because if it's a car accident, we're going to send you police. If it's a medical accident, we're going to send you medical. If it's a fire accident, we're going to send you fire. If you just tell us there's an accident, I don't know which one to send you. But if that's all that you can get out, you're going to get everybody. So there's that.
That's it. Yep.
That's it. But we're going to be like, okay, what kind of accident? We're going to try to dig for more questions as to understanding exactly what's going on. Because, I mean, if there is a car accident, we need to figure out, is someone injured? So that we need to know if we need to send an ambulance to them as well. Or fire. Fire's always going to go with an ambulance to a car accident. But, hazards with car accidents, if the car's on fire. I'm done listing situations because I could literally go on all day long.
Bottom line, you need to know exactly what's going on, and that's why we ask that question or make that statement.
Yes. So, Erica.
Yes.
Why can't you just get them here?
I would love to get them here.
Mm-hmm.
Some things that prevent me from doing that is I don't know what's happening exactly.
Right.
So you had an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say someone fell down the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this example.
Okay, so they fell down the stairs.
Yeah.
So typically our protocol is to send police first. If you don't tell us what's going on, we're going to send the police because
we don't know what's going on.
We don't know what's going on. In our mind, the scene is not safe for our paramedics or for our fire units because they don't carry things to protect themselves because that's not their job. Their job isn't there to protect themselves. It's there to help somebody who is hurt.
Perfect.
So we're going to send you police. So that person that fell now is getting delayed help because we don't know exactly what's going on. And you're just telling us, just get here. Again, it's fine if that's all that you can tell us. But if you can tell us more and you do have the time and you do have the ability to tell us more because we don't want to delay help and we want to tell them what's going on because responders knowing what they're going into are going to be able to prepare and bring in that equipment that they need to help somebody who might have broken their neck, versus having to run back to the ambulance and have to get something else. Same thing with officers. If there's somebody holed up with a gun in a house, they're going to need SWAT probably. Mm-hmm. But we need to be prepared for those kinds of things. We don't want anybody to get hurt for the situation that they might be in. Also, if there's a car accident, car accidents are perfect examples for everything for what's going on. But if it's on the interstate, within our jurisdiction, we will send you medical. But we're not your police for the interstate. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have to get Colorado State Patrol involved. So that's, again, another thing that we need to know what's going on. Multiple agencies could be involved. It's just one of those weird things with this suburban area. Also, we need to know, for fire's example, what's on fire. If it's just a fire pit that kind of got out of control, but it's near a building. Oh, that's kind of serious. Do we need more engines to go? Is your whole house on fire? Is a person on fire? We need to know these things because they would like to be prepared for that so they can set up at a hydrant right away and they can have other units staged or they can request more units depending on the size of the building.
Us asking for you to tell us exactly what happened, you are literally our eyes in an emergency. You can see what is going on, and my job is to the best of my ability, figure out. It's kind of like 20 questions. I'm going to ask you as many questions, as detailed as I can, to get the best response for you. It may seem frustrating, but it's for the people who are coming to help you. So we are doing the best we can to help you and our first responders get there and do it safely so you are safe and they are safe because we don't want anyone to get hurt more than they probably are. People are usually hurt when they call 911. They don't call when they're great, unfortunately. But please also don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
Hey, I'm doing great. Just letting you know. Okay, bye. But you are an extension of me doing my job, and hopefully you can help me out so I can help you out.
Right. Definitely. Back to like police situations.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to send more than one officer again with like the SWAT call? Like, do we need SWAT to go out? Do we need a canine unit? Do we need what do we need? Do the officers even need to go out there? Can they just handle it over the phone? So it's like one of those things where it's like, help us best help you and not inconvenience you either, because you might be like, well, I'm at work, it happened at home, and I don't know when I'm going to be home. Can you guys just give me a call? Or can I like set it up for like later at 9 when I'm home again? We're going to ask for you to call back later because we're not going to put a call on hold because we don't.
We can for a bit, but not all day.
Yeah, not all day. It's like one of those things where it's like we're not a doctor's office. We don't make appointments. We cannot schedule around emergencies, and that's the thing that you have to understand. So give us a call back whenever you're home or wherever you need to be to make this happen with what you have to report, and give us a call back because we don't know when emergencies are going to happen. Fun fact, guys, I'm not going to edit this part out. This is our third time trying to record the first episode. So.
And we did hit record on the first two.
We did. We sure did.
So it's not that. We remembered to hit record.
Yeah, but technology. Okay, cool. I think that's about all that we have about this, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Take two. Subscribe to the podcast to get updates for future episodes, as well as any other updates that we might just pop up and say hi. You never know when we might just do a quick little tidbit. Also, we do have social media. We are on Facebook. It is under Loveland Emergency Communication Center, so that's super easy to find. And then next time, in 2 weeks, yep, we will be back with another important topic. Something that every single one of these episodes, I'm going to say this, something that people misunderstand, because that's what we're here, is to make you understand, or try to help you understand. What do 911 operators do?
Oh boy.
That is a huge topic. And trying to get it down into one episode, as I said in the beginning of this episode, is difficult. But if you haven't worked in a 911 center or close, or knew somebody who did, or if you did or do, it's going to be different. It will surprise you. Ooh. Unless you work at Loveland Emergency Communication Center, then it'll make perfect sense. So, even if you work as a police officer or a firefighter, not saying that you don't care about your dispatch. No, just saying it's still eye-opening sometimes. Yeah, different. Yeah, it's different. Yeah. Until then, know where you are, know your phone number, and tell us exactly what happened.